Hey, what's up? How's it going? I didn't think it would take very long because of the news that came out over the weekend. But at some point, while I was thinking I had to go to work and then realizing that I didn't, uh, Baldur's Gate 3 updated. And so I was like skimming through the patch notes, and I thought we could do that together so you don't have to read it all by yourself. I like how cheeky they are. Hey gang, are you ready to embrace evil? Do you yearn to see the consequences of unleashing your inner jerk? I'm also very stuffy, I'm sorry, forgive me. Great, because patch 7 releases on PC today, and with it come new evil ending cinematics along with honor mode improvements and new legendary actions, split screen improvements, a new way to mod your game, and a whole bunch of gameplay improvements and bug fixes. I'm not gonna... It's a biggin. It's a biggin, they say. It is approximately 11.6 gigabytes. Unfortunately, you cannot load cross saves. It's more legendary actions, split screen improvements, pretty much all the stuff that he mentioned in that they have mentioned several times in other announcements. Does corruption call your name? The Sword Coast is yours to command, to rule like no other. Whether you embrace absolute power, carried out your father's will, played as an origin character, or were generally a menace to society, you'll find patch 7 now introduces 13 new cinematics that offer varying conclusions to your most evil playthroughs. If you're a streamer who is very demure, very mindful, I hate society right now, and you use the show cinematic nudity option in the game settings, it's worth noting that we've now renamed this option to show sexual and violent cinematics and updated its description to more accurately indicate what it does. The setting toggles explicit content plus a few select moments of extreme violence that may be distressing to some. I wish those would be two separate options, because like somebody who wants to turn off nudity doesn't necessarily want to turn off gore as well, but whatever. We might have also embraced corruption a little too much because the new evil ending cinematics have been included in the setting. They really are that evil in this setting. Interesting. The setting does not affect your adventure choices or your access to romance options. However, it does block sexual content with nudity and particularly violent scenes with gore. Well, she's got her dragon, but at what cost? Whether you're starting a new game or loading an old save to relive the battles with the Netherbrain, you'll get to see these new cinematics depending on the choices you make. I was just watching a video about... There will be like some spoilers. I won't go through like the specific Act 2, Act 3 bugs that got... Well, no, that kind of defeats the purpose. I'll go through them, but I'm gonna kind of go through it with care because I don't... There's stuff I mean, like, I have a couple hundred hours, but that doesn't mean that I've seen everything, but whatever, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. It's a one-night kind of thing. We remember clearly stating in community update number 28 that I didn't read, that if you are playing as the Dark Urge, a certain bard would now be able to temporarily join the party as a controllable character at camp if there's an empty slot. Temporarily. It would seem some of you didn't pick up what we were putting down. There are no new companions, there is only death. The day the music died. Okay, so then, like, that seems intentionally confusing. Like, why? That seemed like a plant to, like, throw people off, because why even have her, like, controllable at all? Or give her the ability to it's mentioned further down, but, like, apparently she had a tadpole. I didn't know about that, or maybe I just forgot that after I learned it, but, like, you can level her up. Why would you be able to do all those things? Why is she even temporarily in the party? I guess there are some situations when that happens, but like it just seems like a bait and switch to me. And very disappointing. Because I really wanted Alfira. I wanted to like find one of every class in the world, and I think the only ones that are really missing are Monk, Bard, and Sorcerer, unless you play the Dark Urge, because I think he starts as a Sorcerer. To add to the Nightmare Fuel, we've also made some improvements to honor mode combat, like giving Malice Thorm a new legendary action called Grasping Appendage Gross. That's the animation. A new way to mod Baldur's Gate. Please note the Baldur's Gate 3 toolkit is not currently live, but will become available later today. That's awesome, because I didn't I guess read that part. I was wanting to mess around with it. We're also bringing you another way to mod your Baldur's Gate 3 saves with patch 7, introducing our very own in-game mod manager and modding toolkit, which can now be downloaded on Steam for PC players. That's dope. With this new and supported way to create and install mods, you should see improvements in compatibility and accessibility, and can rest more assured that your supported mods work wherever you're playing Baldur's Gate 3, which will include consoles a little down the line. Yeah, he mentioned that, and people didn't really, I don't know, it seems kind of like, duh. PC always gets it first. Isn't that the thing? Browse Baldur's Gate 3 mods straight from the game. Whatever. I mean, setting up setting up mods really isn't that difficult. I know it can be really involved, especially if you're making your own, but like, I don't know, just like downloading Nexus Mod Manager and having it do it isn't that much of a problem for me, but whatever. Mods that are created and uploaded via our toolkit can be browsed and installed directly from the game itself. That is kind of dope. Immediately backtracks on what I'm saying. Enable or disable mods from the installed tab. Manage your mods for multiplayer parties by ensuring you have the same. That's dope. View and manage your installed mods. Dope. Project selection. The Baldur's Gate 3 toolkit is a separate application on the Steam store page that I will not really go into, but it's scripting changes using Osiris. Now officially support some scripted mods using Osiris, their in-house language, which is very cool that they're giving us access to that. That's like what that's like what, I don't remember the name of the studio, but the people who originally made Fallout. Flash on the screen for me. It's like when they made their scripting language available. I think it's Papyrus. No, I don't remember. But it's like when they did that, and now like Fallout, the classic games have like a very large mod community. Well, I wouldn't say a large mod community. I would say that the work they have done is very impressive. Whether you want to mod Baldur's Gate 3 with supported or third-party mods or mod managers, you always have that choice. That's dope. But if you would like to give our toolkit a go and try your hand at making a mod with our very own tools, head on over to That's Really Awesome. To download the toolkit, you'll need to make sure that yes. You can do this by going to your Steam library, blah, 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 blah. It's showing you how to, it's in the DLCs. Select properties, then go to DLCs, install column, check that toolkit DLC is enabled. It looks like this. To make sure tools is selected as showing, use the drop-down navigation above your library search. Dope. Here is where it would like tell you to, there's resources for getting started modding, which is also really awesome. To help you understand what kind of content you can upload. Like this might even not be new news to some people, but like it's news to me, and I'm like blown away by it. I think it's awesome. While patch 7 brings a deluge of new features, improvements, and more, it's also delivering plenty of bug fixes. Yeah, this is the main bits. Yes, spoilers. Proceed at own risk. Introducing evil endings, brand new cinematic endings for the truly villainous playthroughs, added our very own mod manager, revamped split screen play. When playing on split screen, the two halves of the screen will now dynamically merge together when player characters come close to each other in-game, and dynamically split back up when the characters move apart. This revamp comes alongside many other improvements and polishes to improve the overall split screen experience. If Dror Ragzlin finds himself inside the spider pit, he'll try his best to befriend the spiders residing there with a new spell called Arachnid Compulsion, so they can band together to fight the real enemy, you. The bullet has a new condition called Diamond Scales and a new legendary action called Shredding Scales. Malice Thorn has a new legendary action called Grasping Appendage. Added a new aura and spellcasters for spectators. Panic Sentinel and Ocular Nightmare, respectively. I'm gonna butcher names. Chirai Tsakan, I don't know. The leader of the Githyanki ambush in Act 2 has a new legendary action called Soul Sacrifice. Dope. Kathrai Harak, the Githyanki leader at the Knights of the Shield hideout, has a new legendary action called, I don't know Githyanki, I'm sorry. Something's Embrace. Toonraths. Terrace has a new legendary action called Terran Dogma. That's kind of funny to me. UI updated the reactions UI so that you only have to toggle the reactions you want to use and then confirm them. This saves you from having to select do not react multiple times. Added a new equipment options menu to the character sheet on controller. The panel that opens to donate magic items to Gale will now also show items in your traveler's chest. I thought it already did that, sorry. That's cool. It also now indicates which items are currently equipped. I also thought it already did that. Oops. We noticed some of you hiccuping bubbles, so the action for washing yourself with soap and sponges is now called use instead of consume. Fixed your players' characters' names getting reverted to custom during character creation if you moved on to create your Dream Guardian and then went back to edit the player character again. Huh, that's weird. Fixed the wrong ability showing up when selecting a feat during level up. Art added a new loading screen in Act 3 showing the busy streets of Baldur's Gate. That's cool. Fixed the skirt part of the adamantine split armor missing for female dwarf. Fixed the adamantine scale male clipping on large male characters. That's funny. I never play large type characters, so I had not seen it. You can now gameplay. You can now start custom mode games using honor mode mechanics. When starting a new playthrough, you'll be able to do this via the rule set drop down. The Kuatoa that promised to build you an army will now support you in the final battle unless they all died in Act 1. The help that the Gondians promised for the final battle will now arrive in the form of a friendly Steel Watcher. Apologies from Xander Tubin for the delay. Damn you, Xander. Very much, I'm like, half of me is like, is that an NPC name? Or like, is that a dude who worked at the company that dropped the ball? And they're calling him out in the patch notes. The hair color options and character creation will now remain accessible after you choose the bald hairstyle so that you can continue fiddling around with the eyebrow colors. Some of the stuff I remember seeing, like, a lot of this stuff is stuff they had already announced. I want the stuff that in Act 2, Minthara will now react to you having knocked her out in Act 1. Sweet. Okay, tutorial in Act 1. I will read this. Fixed Avatar Lae'zel behaving like a companion at the end of the tutorial and telling herself to hurry. Fixed a bug preventing you from throwing or dropping the corpses of devils taken from the Nautiloid. Why were people taking the corpses of the devils? That's so weird. Lae'zel will no longer keep buffs like Bardic Inspiration and Longstrider after the tutorial. Okay, that makes sense. The Hag will no longer react to spells cast while she's negotiating for her life with the legendary action she usually uses in response to spells in that combat. The Hag will no longer, why? Because she's used her reaction? Kaga will now be inviting if she's at the Tiefling party. Nice. Mole will no longer repeatedly address you in the same way when you trespass in the Tiefling's hideout. All the thieving little Tieflings will now also leave the hideout when you anger them. You'll no longer get stuck in an infinite trespassing loop with Mole after she asks you to leave calmly. Yeah, that sucked. You're not able to leave the Tiefling hideout after Mole asks you why you're still around, and Mole will run off when she warns you that you asked for whatever comes next. Fixed a bug preventing you from interacting with Alfira after you agreed to let her stay in your party. Shadowheart should now address you before running off if she dies before you go to the Emerald Grove and is then revived. Fix a bug where Asterion wouldn't comment on being killed by the Lance Rosemorn Monastery after being resurrected if the resurrection happened outside of the camp. Fix a bug where picking up an exsanguinated boar and then looting it from within your inventory would soft block the game. I'm sorry, what now? Only looting exsanguinated boars that aren't already in your inventory will trigger an investigation dialogue? Interesting. Fixed an issue preventing you from talking to Nier before completing the quest to save him if his dialogue got interrupted after you sided with him against the Dwarger. Minthara will no longer ask to eliminate non-existent tieflings in the Emerald Grove. Fixed a bug preventing you from interacting with Alfira after you invite her to join you at camp as the Dark Urge. Fixed Oscar Fevris acting like you'd never met if you talk to him after all his captors were killed after a previous dialogue with him had been interrupted while he was thanking you for purchasing his freedom. And if you talk to him after a previous dialogue with him, Jesus Christ, had been interrupted by another player committing a crime. That is such a specific, like, fail point that they had to solve for. Xeris should now set off the explosives in the Zentarum hideout if you don't successfully negotiate with her. Man, that. That is annoying to deal with. We're fixed visual issues with trying to save Alfira from being murdered if she's already at camp. Halson's dead body will no longer join your camp in Act 1 after this camp celebration. That's hilarious. Fixed a non sequitur in Grimo's dialogue at the Goblin camp. Okay. Fixed a visual artifact on the fiery bridge at Grimforge. Also fixed creatures and objects immune to fire catching fire there. That's hilarious. Some of these are just insanely hilarious to me. And insanely hilarious. I'm just sitting here. Do I know what words mean? In the dialogue with the ornate mirror in the apothecary's cellar, fixed a re-rolling history check regardless of success or failure, and fixed one of Avatar Lae'zel's lines never appearing. Word Magmar and Word Pistol, the Dwarger at Grimforge will now make a snide remark if you're playing a small race. The Gith in the Gith in Kresh Yelk, I don't remember how to pronounce it, no longer attack you for simply getting too close to the door in the Inquisitor's chamber. Now you actually have to leave for them to get angry. Nice. Shadowheart and Lae'zel will now have... That literally just happened to me too. I was like, I got too close to the door and they went hostile and Lae'zel got mad. Shadowheart and Lae'zel will now have new equipment if it was taken during the Nautiloid escape and they have traveled sufficiently far to realistically acquire it before getting recruited. Huh. Like, but what will they have? Is it just random? Or is there like I'm sure there's a standard template they'll get, like, so often. The UI should no longer spoil the effects of Auntie Ethel's ingredients. Okay. Fixed a bug where agreeing to spend a night with Astarion in a conversation with him during the camp celebration and then deciding to sleep alone instead could still result in a romance scene with him. Interesting. Fixed some cases where it's just to fate, it's bound to happen. Fixed some cases where Grim wouldn't appear because the cinematic didn't work. That happened to me too. I remember that. I had to reload. It wasn't recent. It was like when I first started playing. But then the reload was fine. Benrin will no longer follow you to camp or leave with you through a waypoint while you're... that name threw me off. While you're in the process of escorting him out of the burning building at Joaquin's Rest, you'll now acknowledge that you know who Minthara is when talking to Saza if you've spoken to Minthara before. Made sure your wild shape is dropped during the scene with Kaga, her snake, and Arabella. That's... Why are you kicking me out of my wild shape? What are you doing? No, don't. They kick me out of invisibility all the time, and I'm like, it doesn't make sense that they would see me right now. I'm sneaking over there. The party's the one talking to them. Like, don't kick... it's dumb to say it, I hate it, but it breaks immersion, because I'm like, I'm invisible over there. How did they... What's happening? Like, we're not even in the same group, but because it's an important story event, it's like, nope, you're not invisible anymore. And it's like, okay, fair enough. I am trying to cheese the mechanic, so fair enough, I guess. I'm gonna stay in that section, like I said. Okay, that was flow and scripting. That's why some of them were so funny. We'll pick up on the... Before animation, Astarion now has idle animations at camp that aren't just him reading a book. Added a new idle animation for Minsk at camp. Boo may or may not have taught him some Tai Chi. Nice. Karlach will no longer brush the shaved side of her head. Cool. Polish the appearance of neck kisses and lovey-dovey scenes with Shadowheart on the Sharon path for characters with large body types and Dragonborn characters. Writing and flow. Dotted some dialogue options and voice lines into a handful of dialogues across the game, particularly to account for edge case flows. These changes are described in more detail in the main patch notes below. Added 3 new narrator lines for Dark Urge characters to add a bit more reactivity across the game. These additions are described in more detail in the patch notes below. Resolved an issue that had been rendering some romance party banners inaccessible while adventuring. Fixed a flow issue where Avatar Lae'zel did not have the option to leave or ascend or stay on Faerun after the Netherbrain is defeated. Added a dialogue option for a kiss in more paths of Will's epilogue dialogue. If you're in holographic form in the epilogue, Will won't automatically assume he's talking to Lae'zel. A bug that had been preventing Will's romance greeting from triggering has now been fixed, so players in Act 3 who have a stable, loving, and committed relationship with Will now see his romance greeting triggering correctly. Fixed priorities on Will's greetings so that low approval greetings will now trigger accordingly for players with low approval. Companions should now be more sympathetic to Astarion fleeing from the sun. Added a new dialogue in which Karlach will react to Daemon if she finds him dead after he told her that he can help her. In Act 2, Minthara will now react to you having knocked her out in Act 1. Scripting fixed several issues related to resurrecting characters via withers, restructuring the party at night and automatic camp night scenes that would trap you in an eternal slumber, unable to end a long rest. Oh my god, that's awful. Fixed a bug causing Shadowheart to keep repeating one line when you talk to her after she's resurrected by withers from the Shadowfell. Weird. Like a zombie. Fixed a small flow issue preventing you from commenting on Gale's last name. Fixed several occurrences of Will still having an exclamation mark above his head when he already told you everything he had to say. When playing as the Dark Urge, Minthara will no longer act as though you accepted Baal when you've been stripped of his influence. Fixed a broken kissing scene after you gave Shadowheart the Idol of Shar. Fixed an issue with where Jiraiya would stop you. Would stop following the party after spending a night outside of the party. Fix the rune tablets on the Nautiloids, sometimes not triggering the narrator's lines. Clerics of Lathander should now recognize his symbol on a Lathandarian amulet. Ensure the Avatar is prioritized as the main speaker in dialogues related to the Hag's Act 1 surrender. Minthara does in fact now have something to say about Orin after you kill her. Made the romance scene at night with Will in Act 3 unskippable if it triggers to avoid accidentally skipping it and not being able to finish the romance arc. If Avatar, Karlach, and Will are partners and go to the Hells together, he'll now act accordingly during the epilogue. Fix Karlach's scene in Avernus not playing if you decide to go with her when playing as Will. A bug has been fixed so that Will now talk to his father if Ansur is defeated after the pact with Mizora is broken but Ravengard is saved from the Iron Throne despite this to decide on his title. Lae'zel will now wait a little longer for you at the site of her recruitment if you tell her you'll be back. Improved Lae'zel's idle camp behaviors to align a bit better with the other companions. Fix the fade to black after Karlach's scene in Avernus at the end of the game, which would give you a very brief glimpse of game developer land. Breaking up with Karlach by speaking with another companion you're dating the morning after her romance scene won't block her dialogue anymore. Reinstated Gale's last line and his detailed explanation of Ceramorphosis and tweaked a dialogue option to react to it. Now that you can give Gale magic items from the Traveler's Chest, he will leave again if you refuse to do so. Ooh. Rough. Patched up some save games that had a bug that would prevent the dialogue between Gale and Mystra at the end of the game from triggering. Fixed a bug that let you kiss Gale even if he was in disguised form before confronting the Netherbrain. Also fixed this dialogue with him cutting off before you could give him a smooch. Reworked the script that determines whether a character is too busy to talk. This will prevent bugs like Minthara's dialogue not triggering at Moonrise Towers after you rescue her and and knock-on effects as a result of this, like not being able to rest or fast travel. Continue to make performance and stability optimizations across this is performance, and implemented many under-the-hood code fixes optimize performance. This will have a more noticeable impact in areas with large numbers of NPCs like the lower city and will reduce peak memory usage when loading levels for the first time. It will also be noticeable when managing lots of loot, when transferring everything from a camp chest to a character's inventory. Reworked and revamped the cutscene that plays when you interact with Answer's bones in the Wormway. Polished facial expressions and emotions across companion dialogues, including the facial animations of your character during some kissing cinematics, including with the vampire lord Asterion. Crashes and blockers. Ooh. Okay, crashes and blockers. Fix a crash when loading the Act 1 region. Wow, that's crazy. Fix a crash when mousing over characters in combat. Fix some issues with a long rest. Loading a save made during a long rest could cause a crash, and you could sometimes get stuck in a long rest forever and ever. Amen. That's funny. Fix a potential crash when saving at the end of Act 2. Fix a potential crash on load. Fix a potential crash on level up. Fix a potential crash when approaching the abandoned refugee on a fresh save. Fixed a blocker related to Orin's dagger, which will now respawn near the altar if you hurled her into a chasm and a cultist picked it up before you did. Because it's bound to her, it would zip back to her corpse in the chasm, lost forevermore. Fixed a potential crash when trying to load into the lower city. Fixed a crash when quickly pressing connect and create into the lobby browser on GOG. Fixed a potential crash when the game runs a check for whether you have the Deluxe Edition DLC. Wow. Fixed a potential crash when player 2 leaves the split screen dialogue. Fixed some camera activation issues on split screen, potentially causing a crash when player 2 rejoins the game mid-cinematic. Fixed a potential crash caused by the reeling condition getting stacked too high. Fixed a crash when dragging the portrait of a dismissed minor illusion summon over another party member's portrait. Wow, because the game is like, I don't know what the fuck to do here. Fixed a bug where using the mold chamber in Grimforge while in combat would prevent you from moving. That happened to me. Fixed a potential crash in Fellow Gears fireworks on Avery's turn in combat. Okay. Fixed a potential crash due to the game script requesting combat from a character that isn't loaded into the region. Fixed a crash that could occur during the cutscene that triggers when you reach the Netherbrain. Fixed a potential crash when switching between keyboard and mouse and controller during a dice roll. Ooh, that would... that does not sound like a good idea to do anyway. It sounds like it would cause a crash, just for whatever reason. Fixed a crash when attempting to reload a save game or return to the main menu. Fixed a crash when choosing to take all from the chest of the mundane. Ooh. Fixed a crash when the dialogue with Balin Bonecloak was forcibly cut short while mousing over a dialogue option. Fixed an edge case blocker preventing you from long resting. Well, it's like, if you can finish the game, cool, but you can't long rest ever. You might as well be a fighter now. Well, nope, just you have a set number of abilities. Use them wisely. Rely on scrolls. Fixed an edge case blocker, added a save game error to prevent a potential crash. Fixed a bug where you could get locked in combat if your character was down but not dead when Isabel was killed. That sucks. Fixed a bug where you could get locked in combat with Cazador if Asterion was alive and incapacitated in his ritual position. One of the other spawn was dead, and the rest of the party was defeated by Cazador. Now combat ends correctly with a game over screen. Fixed a potential crash when leaving the Iron Throne combat. Fixed a bug where you could get stuck under the elevator in the colony, blocking progress. Fixed a crash that could occur when using fast travel in Remington and Worm's Crossing. Fixed a crash that could occur when fighting mimics. Fixed a crash when dropping certain objects. Combat and balance. Across acts. Fixed a potential soft lock where if you have multiple summons that are surprised and you switch to a character whose turn it is on controller, the combat would get stuck passing turns between the summons. Fixed form of dread triggering a saving throw or for frightened if the character was already frightened. Upcast of Witch Bolt can no longer be used with meta magic. Oh, they've just made Witch Bolt worse. Can no longer be used with meta magic twin spell. That sucks. Fix a bug when the goaded condition where if a summoned companion applied goaded to an enemy, that enemy would attack the owner of the summon instead of the summon itself. Damn, really? Fix some goblins missing the Fury of the Small passive in Tactician mode. Fury of the Small. Dampen elements will no longer require a channel divinity point. Improved monks. Why don't they make Goblin a playable race? Like, that would be a lot of fun. Improved monks deflect missiles by helping the projectiles avoid obstacles on their way back to the target. Monks Clinch of the North Wind spell now targets up to 2 characters at level 9. They just have to clinch a little harder. Enemy NPCs can no longer use dash again while the effect... Oh yeah, that's right. Nothing. Every enemy NPCs can no longer use dash while the effect of a first dash is active. Unless they're a rogue built, right? No, never mind. The saving throw for the Dire Raven Companion's Bad Omen action is now a Wisdom saving throw and scales with the Raven's level. Fungal Infestation can now be used as a reaction when killing a target. Nice. The Spectator's Charm condition should now be broken through damage or by killing the Spectator. Cool. The Druidic spells that Halsin gains for free can now be upcasted. Fixed Cloud Kill, not affecting characters at the edge of its range. Thank God. That was driving me insane. I was like, it's there. Like, why is it not oh, they have to be in the direct center? That fucking sucks. Fixed Infernal Spears joining combat when dropped. Patched up some save games that were stuck in combat. Where the game's... I mean, Cloud Kill is still really awesome, don't get me wrong. I just hated that it was like... I can see that they're in it. Why aren't they getting hurt? Why aren't they getting affected by it? Fixed Infernal Spears joining combat when drop. Patched some save games that were stuck in combat where the game script was not intentionally pausing them. Weird. Reduced the duration of the Shar's Darkness spell and the frequency with which NPCs choose to cast it. Swapping... Yeah, they are kind of excessive with that. Swapping weapons between characters in combat now properly consumes an action for both. Fixed the Meanlock Fear condition, triggering a Constitution saving throw instead of a Wisdom saving throw. Nice. Fixed Auntie Ethel's Weird Magic Surge, not triggering with Counterspell. Oh, okay. Combat went out incorrectly if you find that you're still in combat after speaking to the Emperor in the Astral Plane. Fixed Act 1, Fixed Nier's Coerce condition, sometimes getting removed from characters despite them being temporarily allied to him due to his wicked coercion. Priestess Gut will no longer hit herself with her own conditions. Silly Gob. They're so cheeky in these. Fixed Marina and Auntie Ethel's disguise as Marina having different HP values in Tactician mode. Act 2, fixed a bug where the combat at the last light lakeside would end and no further waves would spawn. Made the combat at the last light lakeside trigger more consistently, even if you're standing in odd positions. Balthazar should no longer occasionally stand idle, causing combat to halt within the colony. Balthazar's reanimated skeletons in the Shadowfell now have shove only in tactician mode. Oh, interesting. Increase the HP that the undead nurses resurrect at from 25% to 45% during the combat with Malice Thorm in Tactician and Honor mode. Ooh, that's rough. I mean, that's good, but that's rough. We suggested to Yurgir that when he's invisible, he should take advantage of it and actually try to move around a little bit so that he's harder to find. Aw, man. He's not just gonna be sitting in one spot so you can, like, fucking ambush him. Aww. Well, it's a good thing that we can make ourselves invisible too. Improved the Thisobald Thorm combat in honor mode. Fixed his legendary action explosion. Oh no, we won't be able to see him at all. We won't know exactly where he is. All right, whatever. Just try to talk to him. Improve the Thisobald Thorm combat in honor mode. Fixed his legendary action explosion hitting itself. Increase the damage and radius of his legendary action explosion. His legendary action explosion now applies a debuff based on the explosion type. Increase the damage of the buff given to the blighted allies. Blackened out no longer. Blackened out. Blacked out no longer applies vulnerability to all damage in honor mode. Okay. Improved the Shadow Spirits of the land combat. His Shadow Fiends will no longer disappear during combat as long as they're still controlled. His Shadow Fiends will now disappear after his dome is destroyed. Improved the visuals for when his Shadow Fiends disappear. Short, sweet, to the point. Just like there were some problems with the Shadow Fiends. We had to fix them. Act 3, Cazador will now use his legendary action in his mist form. Terrace now has alert and legendary resistance in tactician mode. Roland will now become more powerful after taking over Ramesses Tower. Gortash's avatar of tyranny form is no longer dependent on whether it's his turn or not. Fixed multiple issues related to Gortash's turrets. Fixed Micromogeron Force Curtain and Deranged Force Curtain becoming active even if they weren't in combat near Gortash, and even though they can only target Gortash. Fix the grenade impellers and incineration casters becoming active as soon as Gortash entered combat, and leaving combat as soon as Gortash left, even if they were in a different area. Gortash in the audience hall turrets in his office, wow. They no longer depend on Gortash and become active or inactive when a combat nearby starts or ends. Fixed Micromogeron Force Curtain and Deranged Force Curtain, sometimes having two contradictory conditions active and malfunctioning at the same time. Fix the bug causing the incineration casters to be affected by the first strike's combat penalty, causing them to skip their first turn the first time they enter combat. Fix 2 incinerator casters in Gortash's office not working correctly. Fix the warning zone VFX of the incineration casters not working properly and therefore not accurately representing the area of danger. Fixed an issue with the incinerator caster's warning zone VFX, causing the warning zone to be inaccurate. Made sure ritual drain is applied correctly on Asta, Yusin, and Violet in the combat with Cazador. After ascending, Cazador will no longer receive healing with vampire regeneration. Fixed a bug in Cazador's fight where it was possible to get more than one extra bonus action per turn for the same character by stepping on and off the pentagram in front of Asterion several times per turn. Very interesting. Improve the combat with Viconia in line with its description. Viconia's divine intervention. Well, if I don't say any of these names right, I'm sorry. I don't know. I forget the way they are properly pronounced, and I'm going off of the way that they look like they're pronounced. Divine Intervention won't target followers of Shar anymore, even if they are enemies, and the illusory mapped terror forms will not change the character portraits. Lady Janath and Oscar will no longer get opportunity attacks against the poltergeists in Janath's estate. The Moonlight Silver's Banishing Smite will now stop Myrmidons from empowering Lorcan. If the Myrmidons are successfully banished, enemies in High Hall should now leave combat when knocked out. The second wave of Intellect Devourers at the Morphic Pool should now consistently join combat. Wow. Fixed to Gortash's legendary action not working when blinded. To improve her chances of survival, Hope now has a new passive called Last Hope that grants her Death Ward for free when she enters combat. During combat, Raphael will no longer care about walking on Hellfire surfaces. Improved the fight against Lorcan Elemental Retort. Now costs a reaction to cast. Targets will now roll a dexterity saving throw against Elemental Retort, and Myrmidons now also buff Lorcan with additional reactions. Tweaked several settings for the windows in Janus' estate to fix where combat can trigger. Fix the Chult Alia Morris not attacking you if you were wearing damage reducing armor. Improve the that's silly. Improve the Restore Soul spell so it's easier to reclaim a soul from Raphael. Also updated its visuals. Viconia now only receives Mortal Reminder as an additional passive in Technician mode. Added some lightning clouds to the final battle in the Wormlay. In the fight against Dribbles at the circus, ranged attacks will now also crit against creatures with the menace condition. Fixed Crank not flying back up to the higher floors in Ramesses Tower. I feel like I'm butchering this one, I'm sorry. Ramesses defenses now include the internal turrets again. Also fix the turret script so that they end their turn when they won't shoot and don't shoot when it's not their turn. Okay. So that they end their turn when they won't shoot and don't shoot when it's not their turn. Okay, so they were going when it wasn't their turn, is what I'm hearing. In a turn-based game, they were going whenever they wanted to. Fix some technical names, showing up for each of Answer's limbs. Naming them all Answer was the answer. God damn you, Larian. Oh my god. They had to throw in jokes. I'm not funny enough, so they had to throw in jokes to keep me, like, to keep people like me intrigued. It's like, oh man, this is getting boring and tedious. I have so much left. I'm gonna leave. And it's like, but they made a pun. Fixed Answers. Friendly lightning strike units, sometimes attempting to attack the lightning strikes. Mystic Carrion's legendary action now triggers on hit, now triggers on hit, not when an undead ally dies. Okay, his legendary action conditions are now curses, and his legendary action condition buff now heals undead when it ticks out instead of when applied. Okay. Raphael can no longer steal souls from creatures that narratively don't have souls, such as undead and constructs. Oh. Interesting. He's just walking up, like, trying to make a deal with them. They're like, I have nothing I can give you, bro. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, you're out of my market, Viconia can now target Shadowheart with her trademark spells, even if Shadowheart is wild-shaped. The enemy wolf summon in the combat near the sandy dock west of the South Span checkpoint can no longer use help, and its summoner now has Hunter's Mark. Okay. Cazador's bats and werewolves are now immune to ghastly fumes, which his gas-like fallen Gur hunters spawn each turn. Fixed a bug where if Cazador is already dead and his spawn can fight back, killing a spawn during combat would restart the combat. Ooh. Casting Dominate Person on Delore before combat will no longer lead to all companions becoming enemies of the caster. Why not? I feel like in that situation, like if that were a home game, you would roll, like, especially if you were hidden while you were casting, like, would they even know who it came from, or would they just know, like, oh fuck, I can't move. Oh wait, shit, I can't move. And so, like, you would roll, like, a perception with disadvantage to, like, can you even tell where it's coming from, bro? No, you cannot. Kled doesn't have Jor Ragslin's legendary actions anymore. Jor's not one for sharing. Nice. He really doesn't seem like he would be. He is brutal. He is, like, even blowing him up doesn't, like, you still gotta fight him. And he's rough. Raphael's Infernal Salve spell will now only work on his allies who are also fiends. The Wayward Undead condition will now get removed when combat ends, and the undead entity will now get destroyed when the condition is removed. The condition also now has an icon. Interesting. Yes, we need icons. We need pretty pictures to look at. Gameplay. Cross Axe. Improved AI pathfinding around dangerous areas. Both in and out of combat. Thank God. Thank God. That drives me crazy that they will, like, they're like, nah, okay, I'll take the damage. And it's massive damage. And they're like, I did something like in the past week where, like, I'm in the beginning of Act 2, and I'm trying to get them, like, out of the monastery, and fucking Asterion, for whatever reason, is like, instead of jumping across this little gap, I'm gonna climb up this like rock face, and then I'm gonna jump off and take 30 damage, and then I'm gonna jump over there and get, that's how I'm gonna get across this gap. And it's like, bro, you could have jumped right there, like where the two other characters jumped, the three other characters jumped. Like, what the fuck? Fixed a bug where combining Wild Shape with the Seeming spell could let characters get reduced to 0 HP or remain alive. Nice. So wait, would they be effectively immortal at that point, or would they just die immediately after the next turn, or if they took more damage? Fixed a rare issue where druids cannot revert their Wild Shape when playing on a save with mods. Ooh, that sucks. Enemies will now properly drop loot when dying from having one of their ability scores reduced to 0. Fixed how the Chest of Mundane handles item stacks higher than its maximum. It should no longer gobble up your enormous coin stack and split back a measly 21 cups in return. Yeah, that didn't happen to me, but I read about it and I was like, that's okay. I'm glad I didn't put anything in it. Fixed a bug that prevented Monk's Shadow Step from giving advantage for Rogue's sneak attack. just lame. Fixed an issue. I'm glad they fixed that. Fixed an issue causing Tempest Domain Cleric's Channel Divinity to not deal maximum damage for some spells like Shocking Grasp. You can no longer open locked containers through trade as if they weren't locked. Fixed a bug preventing you from looting mounds you dig up if you started a dialogue during the digging animation. Fixed some flickering shader artifacts that were appearing on, for example, Karlach's Tent and Justiciar Crusaders in Umbral form. Fixed some minor visual glitching between surfaces. Fixed items sometimes flickering when you approach them with the camera. Fixed the combat cursor on controller reappearing too soon after you cast a combat spell. Fixed surface lights only being created on split screen when player one's cameras nearby. Fixed dialogues sometimes not starting with characters who were pickpocketed. Fixed blocked or barricaded doors sometimes resulting in incorrect pathfinding. Fixed summons like cats not being able to squeeze through crevices and holes. Wow. Fixed druids being unable to equip weapons after long resting while wild-shaped as myrmidons. Fixed a case where you could end up soft-locked after a long rest if a custom character spent the night outside the camp when they had a camp scene queued up. Interesting. That does sound like something else that would be the game code would be like, I don't know what to do here, bro. Dismissing a companion with Scratch's ball will no longer transfer the ball to Scratch after a long rest. Interesting. Fixed a rare case where custom characters no longer follow the controller player. Thank you. That does happen a lot. Improved an edge case like if you have a custom character, you're controlling somebody else. It's like your custom character wants to stay put for whatever reason, even if you're not ungrouped. Improved an edge case quirk of AI spellcasting by ensuring that it has a source and target position before committing to a projectile-based attack. Cool. Prevented summons and followers like Glut from being able to consume noble stock. Yes, your mage hand probably ate it. No, we don't know where its mouth is. It's in the palm. Dismissing hirelings or avatars via dialogue, or it's like at the stump. Dismissing hirelings or avatar. No, it's like this. This is where the hand is. Wait. Dismissing hirelings or avatars via dialogue now functions the same way as dismissing companions. When Withers resurrects an avatar, the Dream Guardian will no longer immediately prompt another nearby avatar to loot them for a tadpole. That's hilarious. Similarly, dead dismissed avatars will no longer trigger this same prompt. Some decorum, please. When multiple characters in the party discover a trap or hidden item, only one will comment on it. Thank you. We figured you don't need 4 people telling you to watch out for the same trap at the same time. Yes, that does get very old. Here, I'm like, I got it. Walk by it. You know where I'm not in turn-based. You can walk by it. You have permission. my tiny liege. Fixed an issue that allowed multiple party members to learn how to summon Shovel. But that means I have to go. But that means I have to. That means I have to multi-class, or not multi-class. That means I have to respec on the character I want to have Shovel. Because it doesn't. Well, I don't know if bards can do it. I would imagine they could because they're. Damn it! I have an account with multiple shovels. That's not cool. Damn it! Just the one basket is enough. Thanks. All right. So anyway, that's not that big a deal, I guess. You can you do the combat. You get to the point where you have the scroll, have the scroll and just use it with that character, but make sure that character is a wizard so that you can learn the spell. And then the way that it worked for me is I still had it when I multi-classed out. I guess I'll have to test that. Oh, that's aggravating. All right, that's okay. I get it. I'm not upset, Larry. I'm not mad. I was cheesing things. Made NPCs overhead dialogues for certain crimes more fitting for the crime. NPCs will now react as though a crime was committed when they succeed on saving throws against hostile spells. Fade ins and outs now only occur after crime combat when there is someone around to take you to prison. Okay, cool. If you fail a lockpick or a booby-trapped item, the trap will now trigger. If you succeed, the trap will not trigger and the trap will remain armed. So you have to get the trap and then lockpick the thingy. Dismissing the leader of the party, follower will now reassign that follower to an active avatar. Cool. You can now swap out party members by speaking to the companion you want to replace, even if the one you want to replace them with is wild-shaped. What your companion will think of you replacing them with a sheep is another story. Lathander's Light will no longer be able to save companions that the Dark Urge was driven to kill. Summons will now disappear alongside their owners when you dismiss the ladder to camp. Thank God, that's really annoying. In my like multiple shovels thing, it's like, why aren't they going away? Why are they just standing robotically at the camp? I don't like it. Fix multiple spots where perception checks were being made through solid objects. That said, there does seem to be something in Scratch's code where if he is summoned, he reverts back to camp behavior, but then when he, at least from my memory, that is what he does. I don't think that he acts like a weird robot. The all knowledge is worth having background goal will now only trigger after you read the last page of the Necromancy of Thay, instead of when you succeed the initial ability checks. Ooh, I forgot you had to succeed all the, I don't want to cheese the game, but I definitely want to succeed all the checks. Fungal infestation can now be used without a corpse in areas with rejuvenating miasma. Ooh, I guess I'll just have to get lucky. Like, I have to take the lucky feat, not like, oh man, I got fate's on my side. Lady Luck's gotta look out for my back. No, I'm just actually gonna take the lucky feat. Fungal infestation can now be used. I said that all myrmidons, I feel like I'm not saying that right, but whatever, except earth myrmidons are now ethereal and cannot be thrown. Oh. Fix some identical stackable items not stacking. Boo. That's why was it even doing that to begin with. Fix services not being created if you press F1 in the same frame that they're created. Ooh. Fixed a bug in multiplayer where using withers to resurrect an avatar belonging to player 2 could lead to the avatar being unable to rest or fast travel if, before the resurrection, the avatar was in a prison cell after being arrested. Wow, that sucks. For that, I'm glad they fixed it. Like, all of these, when I say, oh, that sucks, I don't mean like, oh, that sucks they fixed it. I mean, except for the shovel thing. But I mean like, oh, that sucks that it even happened and they had to, wow, like, playing that must have been very jarring. The Illithid Power Mind Sanctuary now consumes resources when consuming potions. Additionally, potions can be used within the Mind Sanctuary Nexus if there is only one action available. Fix the gibbous of the Worshipful Servant not generating momentum at the start of combat. Fixed a bug causing Dark Urge characters to get renamed after using the magic mirror. Very weird. Elminster should no longer react to crimes that don't affect him. We distracted him with some Stilton. Fixed the position of pings for corpses. Fixed loading a save game made during trade, possibly not restoring the trade correctly and crashing. Fixed splitting not working in trade when moving items from your companion's inventories. Fixed the context menu not showing trade actions on items that are in a companion's inventory. Fixed, I thought I turned that off. Fixed cinematics looking broken on split screen if player 2 disconnects from local co-op via the menu. Fixed rib cages stacking onto each other, causing items stored in them to be lost. That sucks. Fixed an issue on multiplayer where Gale would briefly appear to be in his undies for the client if the host has the donate UI open and Gale is wearing magical robes that he can consume. Gale, you dummy. Why would you eat your clothes? Eat other people's clothes, Gale. Or eat this useless necklace I will never have a use for. Oh, what does it do? It lets me cast lights. Or dancing lights. I don't remember which one it is, but it sucks. It's like, thank you for giving it to me, but Gale, do you want this? Gale, do you want this? Go get it, boy! When you unlock a trapped item using a key, the trap will now be disarmed. Sweet. Fixed a bug that will let you waltz your way through the destructible walls without actually destroying them. You could attempt to attack the wall, and your character would pathfind right through it in search of a comfortable spot from which to take a swing. That's hilarious. You can no longer loot the underwear of non-recruited companions when you knock them out. Thank you, because that is kind of weird that I could do that to Minthara. I wasn't comfortable with that. Fixed I did it anyway, but I wasn't comfortable with it. Just kidding. Fixed a username mix-up on multiplayer, where if a player was hosting a game via GOG and another player joined as a client via Steam, the latter's Larian account username would appear where the host's username should. Steam's like, get out of here. I am superior. Fixed a split screen issue where invisible characters would sometimes not render at all for a second player joining the game. We need them to be invisible, but not that invisible. That's hilarious. So these jokes are really getting me. Some legendary actions and other reactions. It sounds like I'm saying the same word twice, but I know I'm not. Can now trigger from further away. Fixed a bug on controller where passing the right stick to turn tooltips off would cause the A button more details to become unresponsive. Fixed a multiplayer bug causing characters to get stuck in dialogue if you swap characters while in dialogue during an active role. I feel like I played with one guy and we played for a little, like, I got like 60 hours or something, and I feel like that happened several times. But it doesn't say, I mean, it does say it's a multi, but I do remember switching character, but I feel like that happened to us numerous times. Fixed a bug where acquiring the Devil's Sight passive while standing in a cloud of darkness didn't work until you moved out of the cloud. Fixed a small delay when playing spell animations. Okay, I was like, have I read these yet? I have not. Fixed the owlbear cub sometimes disappearing from camp when goblins in the goblin camp, when killing goblins in the goblin camp. When playing as the Dark Urge, if you invite her, Alfira will now actually join your party as a controllable character if there's room for her in your party setup. Temporarily, of course. She is not, it is like, I said it earlier, I feel like it's a bait and switch, but whatever. I would like for her to eventually be a party member, but like if she's not, that doesn't like kill the game for me. Alfira no longer has a tadpole, can now be leveled up, and will no longer be able to use the magic mirror. That's so interesting that she was able to use any of those things at all. It seems like they had plans and they scrapped them. Attacking the Zint inside the Zentarium hideout will now more consistently drag your entire party into the fight. Shoving someone down the pit to the Underdark in the Whispering Depths will award XP more often. I did that with some of the spiders, and did not even realize, like, I knew that was the pit to the Underdark, but I did not realize that they were gonna show up there too, and that it was gonna like, because one of them was already dead. He was gonna die. Like, I think he had like 3 hit points left. So whether it was an attack or kicking him off, it was going to kill him no matter what. So I didn't think the game was smart enough to render the spider down there, and it totally was. I got down there like from another point, and it remembered that and loaded a spot. I was like, what? That's so cool. I remember kicking him off, and here he is, because I kept sitting there going, there aren't face spiders in this area. Like that, I've never had an encounter with a spider down here. They're not down here. They're up. Oh, they're up. That's the one I kicked off. What the fuck? That's so cool. Yeah, I got really hyped. Shoving someone. I already read that. Soldiers will now be inspired if you defeat the goblins attacking the Emerald Grove. If there are no losses on the tiefling side. Nice. Fix the crucible at the adamantine forge, becoming uninteractable after Grim dies. The acolytes of the demon web pits background goal will now trigger if the spiders become Lulth's followers by succeeding any dialogue ability check, not just the persuasion check. Throwing a fish at Tuffet, the sleepy bear at the Emerald Grove, will now properly remove it from your inventory. Fixed a bug where the Emerald Grove gate wouldn't open after the goblin raid. That did happen to me once. I was like, what is happening? And I just reloaded. Fixed a split screen issue related to the unstable statue in the Shattered Sanctum, causing player characters to disappear. Interesting. Act 2. The Dark Urge should now be inspired by killing Night Song. Fixed a bug where your party members would very quickly change out of their armor and into their cozy camp clothes when you talk to them after having left the astral plane. We don't really blame them for being so desperate to hit the hay. That's funny. Minthara now properly leaves the party when you tell her to go to Baldur's Gate alone. Act 3, fixed a bug causing Omelium to be unresponsive in the Iron Throne. Fix the wormway door not opening for characters behind it. Fix a fading issue causing some background NPCs in the lower city to have duplicates. Ooh. Fix an issue where recruiting a mind-controlled night song will cause enemies to become allied to you. Ooh. During the final battle, backup companions being called upon by with ally abilities will now appear with some clothes on for the occasion. Gale no longer has access to Netherese or Blast in the Netherbrain Psyche. Hanged bodies, well, that makes sense. Hanged bodies in the lower city. Well, it is a part of his essence, so never mind. Hanged bodies in the lower city, including Floric, are less likely to fall down when you meddle with them. Only movement, a change in their type of death, like getting pulverized, or additional physical harm can take them off the gallows. Fix the camera not following you when you get teleported to the Sorcerer Sundry's entrance after interacting with the wrong portal. The Smuggler's tunnels underneath the open hand temple are now accessible from the cave-in entrance if you already came through them and cleared the cave-in from the inside. You can no longer use the active search feature to bypass the booby trap display case in the Ramesses Tower and pick up the key inside it. Smarty pants. A rat at Basilisk Gate will now come back after a long rest if you attacked it. Oh, okay. Improve lumbar support. Lumbar will now stand after you paid him to hit him. Gortash's grenades should explode after being picked up now. Fix a bug where interacting with the crate full of explosives in Rivington could cause you to get stuck in an endless loop of crime dialogues, being interrogated and sent to prison, and or in combat with temporarily hostile NPCs. Ooh. Crimson Mischief and Murderous Cuts prey upon the weak passives now work properly against enemies with 50% HP or below. Fix several issues with the portrait that Oscar gives you. Principally, the image of the portrait will now be that of the active character claiming the reward regardless of their position on the party line. Fixed a bug where dropping or selling certain items looted from the lower city graveyard could cause NPCs to react as though you committed the crime of moving a corpse. Fix the interaction between the Spell Savant amulet with the Smite spells, Divine Smite, and create sorcery points that cause the spell to always add 1 sorcery point when re-equipping the amulet. Ooh, okay, so you could cheese it. Fix protection from evil and good, not protecting from Incubus Charm. If you decided to turn Sorcerer Sundries into a battlefield, clients will now properly run away from the shop forever if there are no guards left to defend it. Interesting. Fix projection clerks in Sorcerer Sundries not disappearing in some rare cases if all combatants were killed, causing looping, warning dialogues. Fixed Core Drain, the recent being able to raise a zombie in Sorcerer Sundries when he shouldn't be able to, like when he's dead or silenced. This is a long pursuit.